I'll say. Hi, welcome to Chris and Pat.
Or chat with Chris and Pat.
That's it. Chat with Chris and Pat.
We're still getting used to it.
Yeah.
So today is day 4. We wanted to make sure we got our episode in today.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't really know what to talk about, which is kind of what we do every time. But we decided to write some ideas down about marriage and our experiences. And we're going to draw one and talk about it. So let's see what we get.
That one.
All right.
Okay.
You go ahead. You read
Ready?
it. Uh-huh.
Okay. How do you handle disagreements now versus when we were younger? How do we do that? Well,
Okay. So question again is, how do you handle disagreements now versus when you were younger? Obviously, we've been married 27 years. Handling disagreements has changed quite a bit.
we used to, early, we used to walk off, and obviously it was the attempt to not, just to blow off steam. But that's...
But you have to back up.
Yeah.
Because before the walking offing and storming out or slamming a door as you leave, there was much yelling.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to back up even further.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
And it was a lot of arguing, like trying to place blame.
Right. The gaslighting before we knew what gaslighting was.
Probably a lot of that.
Not taking responsibility.
Not taking personal responsibility. Feeling like...
Being harsh.
Feeling like the other person was to blame for the way we were feeling or could, take away from us instead of recognizing that we're working together towards a common goal. So yeah, a lot of self-centered focused in our disagreements before versus now. Do you have anything to add about before I move on?
Communication and making sure each other understood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would say that, yeah. Yeah,
trying to make sure that we wanted to make sure that we were understood instead of trying to understand the other person. I know that's, I oftentimes remember feeling misunderstood myself. And then he was trying to explain his side of it. And I'm like, I don't care about your side of it because you're not listening to mine.
Yeah.
And it would go back and forth a bit. And everyone would end up with hurt feelings.
Yeah.
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 So now, how do we do it now?
Now we, when tempers rise, we take a breath. We stay together. In other words, we don't close ourselves off. If we're angry, we don't necessarily break consensual physical space, but following is a good thing. Following, showing sympathy. Well,
the other thing is, I know that we do a lot more now, is asking questions. Instead of making assumptions, we ask questions. Like, you said this. I hear this when you say that. Is that what you mean? Because oftentimes what I've discovered is that he has a way of saying things and using words in ways that does not mean the same thing or even the same tone as me. And so I've learned that if I can take a breath when I'm feeling a little triggered on something, to be like, wait, I just heard this. Is that what you meant? That really makes a big difference because most of the time it's, no, I didn't mean that.
Yeah, right.
Most of the time it's, oh, how did you get that from that? I meant this, and I'm like, well, here's what it means to me. And then he often will be like, oh, wow, I can see why that would be upsetting, but that's not what I meant.
Yeah. Good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ways that things have changed nowadays. Well, first off, I think we've done a lot of personal work on ourselves to reduce the number of things that actually trigger us, and recognizing what those hot button points are is very helpful. And recognizing when the other person is being triggered and not taking it personally, but helping them be and like stay in that space, like you said, but not taking it like in a personal assault, but recognizing that there's a part of them that's wounded that we've just poured salt or gasoline on.
Yeah.
So that's made a big difference.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else that you want to add to that?
Man, I feel like I'm gonna find them out later. Like they're not coming to my head right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think this is one that I think we'll want to come back to once we realize some things and come back to it. This would be one we want to come back to. Let's see. Let's see what this one is. We're going to answer one more question because we have some time. Share a story about a surprising way you've kept the spark alive in your marriage. A surprising way that we've kept the spark alive in our marriage. Okay, this is a recent one, but I definitely think it's worth talking about. And that is reading audiobooks together or listening to audiobooks together. And particularly the romantasy books.
Yeah.
That has been a lot of fun.
That's been great. Yeah, it has obviously it has the romance, which is, I don't know, it's good to hear. I believe that there's definitely a female perspective, and it's good to hear that perspective. The character is female. The character talks about her desires, and it's good to see that. But also on the flip side of things, there's fighting and there's magic and there's swords and there's really,
dragons,
really cool stuff,
creatures.
So, and but you're kind of in that too with
Yeah, we like all that, but that was something that was really surprising to me. A surprising way that keeps the spark alive, because then it actually gives him some ideas sometimes. I mean, like sometimes it's really silly, just coming up with like voices.
It creates talking points.
But it does. It creates these moments where we have to be like, well, what did you think about that part? Or how did you feel about the way that was handled? Or how do you, like, I see this character's behavior this way. And it's really fascinating because sometimes the characters have a bit more oppressive masculine traits that I don't like. And he doesn't see that right away. Right? So it gets to be this discussion, but yet it also brings us closer.
Yeah.
And I think what you said is very true. Like seeing a woman's perspective on what touch feels like, or the build up and what desire comes from words and imagination. Because those are really important parts for me. But I don't know. I don't know how it works for you.
Oh, like the
hearing words of like seductive words used for you, or like towards you, I guess is what I'm really trying to say. Like some of the things that they say, like teasing in these books, we would never say in normal like you just would not think to say those things.
Yeah, it's true.
But there are certain aspects of it, and I've told him that I thought was really sweet, because a lot of times there are the ways that he's considerate, the way that he's thinking about me or lets me know that he's thinking about me, are things that I've actually heard in these books. And I'm like, oh, my husband's like a romance boyfriend in a lot of ways. There's some that we can improve, but.
Yay, Court of Mist and Fury. And
what is that? The Akatar is where we started. Well, okay, we started with Fourth Ring.
Roses and Thorns. Court of
Roses and Thorns.
Yeah. Okay. Not a
Court of
book
Thorns and Roses? I think it's the other way around. Court of Thorns and Roses.
Okay.
Yeah. We're not very good fans, apparently. Don't even know the titles. But anyway, being able to share that together is a surprising way that keeps the spark alive.
Yeah. You want to hear my perspective?
I want to hear it very much.
I think when you are in marriage and you're going through, I guess what do they call it, the motions and everyday routine, and you made a promise to each other, So it can be really tempting to fall into, hey, we made a promise to each other, and not have that uh, energy of, man, I want to impress her. I want to woo her. I want to, yeah, I want to take her out on a date. I mean, when you kind of fall in that rut, you're not even checking your breath anymore. And I mean, we've had those moments, so.
Well, when people grow, you have to continue to get to know your partner,
Yeah.
because they're changing.
Yeah.
So those dates, like you said, are wanting to say, hey, what are you reading today? Or what are you getting into? Or what's your perspective on this? Those types of things are really helpful because your partner is changing, just like you. And you don't want to stay the same person the whole time for 27 years of marriage. That'd be prison. Woo, it would be prison.
Yeah.
And then people want to get out, right? So, I mean, yeah, making sure that you give space for curiosity about each other. It's another surprising way to keep the spark alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been a great discussion. Thanks for coming to our chat and chatting with us. And we'll come back again tomorrow and see what kind of things come up then.
Sounds good.
Anything to add before we close?
No.
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao.